The heavy oak doors of courtroom 4 swung open with a dramatic creak, unleashing a wave of murmurs into the hallway. Inside, the sharp, decisive bang of Judge Reynolds's gavel still echoed in my ears like a gunshot. Bang! Case dismissed. 2 words. Just 2 simple words, yet they had the power to shatter weeks of preparation, sleepless nights, and 3 empty pots of coffee. I stood my ground, my spine rigid, my fingers gripping the edge of the mahogany table until my knuckles turned white. I refused to let my shoulders slump. I refused to show weakness. But inside, I was screaming. Across the aisle, Cole Sterling was putting on a show. He stood up slowly, buttoning his impeccably tailored navy suit jacket. He ran a hand through his golden blonde hair that looked like it had been styled by angels, which was ironic because the man was the devil incarnate. He turned to the jury box and flashed them a smile. Not just a smile, the smile. The one that made grandmothers want to adopt him and young women want to sin with him. "Thank you for your service," he told them, his voice smooth as aged whiskey. He had won. Again. That was the 3rd time this month he had humiliated me in open court. I shoved my files into my briefcase with unnecessary force. Snap, click. I needed to get out of here. I needed caffeine. I needed to punch something soft. "Counselor," Cole called out. I didn't stop. I marched down the aisle, my heels striking the floor like a declaration of war. Click, clack, click, clack. "Harper, wait up!" I pushed through the double doors into the busy corridor. Lawyers, clients, and bailiffs swarmed around like bees. Cole caught up to me easily. His long legs ate up the distance without effort. He fell into step beside me, matching my furious pace. "Don't be a sore loser, Harp." He teased, his tone light and playful. "You put up a good fight." That closing argument about corporate negligence? Very dramatic. I saw juror number 6 wipe a tear. I stopped abruptly, spinning on my heel to face him. "You bribed the witness." I accused, my voice low but venomous. Cole placed a hand over his heart, feigning shock. "I did no such thing. That is a serious allegation, Ms. Vance." "Then how did you know about the deleted emails?" I stepped closer, poking a finger into his chest. "Those were sealed. Unless someone leaked them to you." He caught my finger, holding it for a second too long before releasing it. His skin was warm. "I didn't bribe anyone," he said, his blue eyes dancing with amusement. "I charmed the secretary." "There's a difference. Maybe you should try it sometime. Charm, I mean. It involves smiling. You know, moving the corners of your mouth upwards." "I smile when I have a reason to," I snapped, turning back toward the elevators. "Like when I watch you lose." "Then you must be very unhappy lately," he chuckled, following me. "Considering my win streak." We reached the elevator bank. I jabbed the down button repeatedly, as if hitting it harder would make the car arrive faster. Ping. The silver doors slid open. It was empty. We both stepped in. The doors closed, sealing us in a small stainless steel box. The air instantly grew heavy. It wasn't just the smell of his expensive cologne sandalwood and something citrusy, it was the sheer weight of his presence. He leaned against the back wall, crossing his arms, watching me. "You know," Cole said, his voice dropping to a lower, more intimate register, "you look hot when you're angry." My head snapped up. I stared at him in disbelief. "Excuse me." He pushed off the wall and took a step toward me. The space between us shrank. "The way your eyes flash," he murmured. "The way your breathing gets all shallow. It's distracting." I felt a flush creep up my neck. I hated that my body reacted to him, even when my brain wanted to murder him. "Back off, Sterling," I warned, clutching my coffee cup, a fresh latte I had grabbed from the cart outside like a shield. "Make me," he challenged, a wicked glint in his eye. Just then, the elevator lurched violently. Clunk! The sudden stop threw me off balance. I stumbled forward. My hand jerked. The lid of my coffee cup popped off. Splash! A tidal wave of hot brown liquid exploded all over Cole. It soaked his pristine white shirt. It splattered onto his silk tie. It dripped from his chin. I gasped, freezing in horror. "Oh my God," I whispered. Cole looked down at his ruined chest. The white fabric was now transparent, clinging to his skin, revealing the definition of his muscles underneath. He slowly looked up at me. Coffee dripped from the tip of his nose. I braced myself for a yell, for a lawsuit. Instead, his shoulders started to shake. He threw his head back and laughed. A rich, genuine sound that bounced off the metal walls. "Well," he said, wiping coffee from his jaw with his thumb, "I guess I deserved that." You absolutely did," I stammered, fighting the urge to giggle. The sight of the golden boy covered in latte was undeniably satisfying. "You owe me a shirt, counselor," he said, stepping closer until the toes of his shoes touched mine. He didn't seem to care about the mess. He was focused entirely on me. "I'll send you a coupon," I retorted, trying to maintain my composure. "No." He shook his head, leaning down. "Dinner. Tonight. To discuss the settlement for my emotional distress." "In your dreams," I breathed. Ding! The doors opened on the lobby level. I bolted out, my heart racing like I had just run a marathon. "See you in court, Harper," he called after me, his voice full of laughter. I didn't look back. But as I walked into the cool air of the lobby, I realized something terrifying. I was smiling. The sharp rap of the judge's gavel hitting the mahogany block echoed through the courtroom, signaling the end of another humiliating defeat. Around me, the low murmur of lawyers and clerks filled the air, a symphony of shuffling papers and whispered victories. I spun on my heels, my stilettos clicking aggressively against the marble floor, a staccato rhythm of pure frustration. Bang! The sound of a heavy suitcase being thrown into the trunk of a car snapped me back to reality. 3 days later, I was standing in the freezing cold parking lot of the firm, staring at the silver Audi that was supposed to be my ride to Chicago. And leaning against it, looking entirely too pleased with himself, was Cole Sterling. "You have got to be kidding me," I groaned, my breath fogging in the icy air. "I specifically asked for a solo car." "Budget cut, sweetheart," Cole chirped, opening the passenger door for me with a mock bow. The click of the door handle sounded like a trap snapping shut. "Besides, the boss thinks we need to bond. Something about teamwork making the dream work." I threw my bag into the back seat with a loud thud. "If you talk to me for the next 4 hours," I warned, sliding into the leather seat, "I will bill you for my therapy." Cole chuckled, the engine roaring to life with a powerful purr. "Buckle up, Buttercup. It's going to be a bumpy ride." 2 hours later, the world had turned white. The gentle snowfall had transformed into a raging blizzard. The wind howled outside, battering the car like an angry beast. The windshield wipers were working frantically, swish, 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 fighting a losing battle against the accumulating snow. Inside the car it was warm, but the tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. The only sound was the hum of the heater and the rhythmic tapping of Cole's fingers on the steering wheel. "We need to pull over," I said, my voice tight. "We can't see anything." "We're almost there," Cole insisted, squinting through the windshield. "Just another 20 miles. Suddenly, the car swerved. Screech! The tires lost traction on a patch of black ice. The world spun. I screamed, grabbing the dashboard. Cole cursed, wrestling with the wheel. The car slid sideways off the road and came to a halt with a sickening crunch as the bumper hit a snowbank. Silence. Total, deafening silence except for our ragged breathing. "Are you okay?" Cole asked, his voice shaking slightly. He reached over his hand, hovering near my arm. "I'm fine." I breathed, my heart hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. "But the car—" Cole tried to restart the engine. It sputtered and died. Chug. Chug. Silence. "Dead," he confirmed. "And we have no signal." He looked at me. For the first time, the arrogance was gone from his eyes. He looked worried. "There was a motel back at the last exit," he said. "About a mile walk. Can you make it in these heels?" I looked down at my expensive Louboutins, then at the snow piling up outside. "Do I have a choice?" "No." Cole took off his heavy wool coat and draped it over my shoulders. It was warm and smelled of cedarwood and him. "Let's go," he said, opening the door to the howling wind. The motel sign buzzed ominously overhead. Bees tea. Click. Bees tea. Casting a flickering neon red light onto the snow. The Cozy Inn. It looked anything but cozy. It looked like the setting of a horror movie. We stumbled into the lobby covered in snow teeth, chattering uncontrollably. A bell chimed as we entered. Ding-ling. The receptionist, an older woman with curlers in her hair, looked up from her TV show. "Help you folks?" she asked, popping her gum. Snap. "We need 2 rooms," Cole said, shivering. "Please." The woman laughed, a dry, raspy sound. "Honey, the highway is closed. Every trucker and traveler in the state is stuck here. I have 1 room left. Take it or leave it." I froze. 1 room. With Cole Sterling. My arch nemesis. The man I wanted to strangle on a daily basis. "We'll take it," Cole said, quickly slapping his credit card on the counter. We walked down the dingy hallway. The carpet squelched under our wet boots. Room 204. Cole swiped the keycard. Beep. Click. The door swung open. We both stared. There was 1 bed. A queen-sized bed with a questionable floral bedspread. "Perfect," I muttered sarcastically. "Just perfect." Cole closed the door, locking out the world. He turned to me, running a hand through his wet hair. Water droplets fell onto his nose. He looked unexpectedly rugged. "Look," he said, his voice dropping. "I know you hate me, but it's freezing, and I'm not sleeping in the bathtub." "Fine," I sighed, kicking off my ruined heels. "But we build a wall, pillows down the middle. If you cross the line, I sue you." Cole smirked, that familiar, infuriating smirk returning. "Deal. But don't worry, Harper, I don't sleep with the enemy." "Good," I retorted, unbuttoning my coat, "because I don't sleep with losers." He laughed. A genuine warm sound that filled the small room. "Get changed," he said, turning around to give me privacy. "Or you'll catch pneumonia. And I can't win against a dead lawyer. It's bad for my stats." I watched his broad back as he stared out the window at the storm. The blizzard raged outside, trapping us together. Just me, him, and 1 bed. What could possibly go wrong? Wind howling relentlessly outside. The rattle of the window frame. A heater humming loudly, then clicking off. Silence. Heavy breathing. The storm outside was getting worse. It slammed against the thin walls of the Cozy Inn, threatening to tear the roof off. But inside room 204, the real storm was brewing on the queen-size mattress. I lay on my side, rigid as a board, staring at the peeling wallpaper. Cole lay on his side, facing away from me. Between us was the great wall of pillows. It was ridiculous. We were grown adults, top-tier lawyers, and we were building pillow forts like children. "Are you asleep?" Cole's voice broke the silence. It was low, raspy. "I'm plotting your murder," I replied, pulling the scratchy blanket up to my chin. "Good," he chuckled. "At least you're not bored." He shifted. The old mattress creaked and dipped, rolling me slightly towards him. I dug my heels in, resisting gravity. "Stop moving," I hissed. "I can't help it," he groaned. "This bed is made of rocks and regret, and it's freezing in here." He was right. The heater had sputtered and died 10 minutes ago. The room was turning into an icebox. I shivered violently, my teeth chattering. "Take the blanket," Cole offered suddenly. I turned my head. He had pushed his share of the duvet towards me. He was lying there in just his t-shirt and boxers, shivering slightly. "Don't be a hero, Sterling," I muttered. "You'll freeze to death." "I run hot," he lied. Besides, if you get sick, I have to do all the paperwork for the merger alone. That sounds like hell. I looked at him. In the dim light of the street lamp outside, his face was shadowed, the sharp angles softened. He didn't look like the shark I battled in court. He looked human. "We'll share," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "What? Body heat." I rationalized quickly. "It's survival. Basic biology. Don't read into it." Cole turned to face me. His eyes glinted in the dark. "Are you proposing a truce, counselor?" "I'm proposing we don't die of hypothermia. Now come here before I change my mind." Cole hesitated, then moved closer. He kicked down the pillow wall. He wrapped his arm around my waist and pulled me flush against his chest. His body was a furnace. I gasped as the heat seeped into my frozen limbs. It felt incredible. I buried my face in his chest, inhaling his scent. Cedarwood and rain. "Better," he murmured into my hair. "Manageable." I grumbled, but I didn't pull away. In fact, I snuggled closer, my leg tangling with his. We lay there in silence for a long time. The wind howled, but I felt safe. "Why do you hate me, Harper?" Cole asked suddenly. The question hung in the air. "I don't hate you," I admitted, my voice muffled by his shirt. "I hate that you always win. I hate that everything comes easy to you. The charm, the looks, the juries, they love you. I have to work twice as hard to get half the respect." Cole's hand moved up my back, rubbing soothing circles. "You think it's easy?" He laughed softly, a bitter sound. "My father expects perfection. If I lose a case, I'm a failure. If I don't make partner by 30, I'm a disappointment. I have to win, Harper, because if I don't, I'm nothing." I looked up. His face was inches from mine. I saw the cracks in the golden boy's armor. I saw the pressure, the fear. "You're not nothing," I whispered. "You're a pain in my ass, but you're a brilliant lawyer." Cole looked down at me. His gaze dropped to my lips. "And you," he whispered, his thumb brushing my cheekbone, "are the only person who actually sees me. Not the sterling name, just me." The air between us shifted. It became charged, heavy with unspoken desire. My heart pounded. "Cole, tell me to stop," he breathed, leaning closer. "Tell me to back off, Harper, or I'm going to do something very unprofessional." I could have stopped him. I could have pushed him away and rebuilt the pillow wall, but I didn't. "Don't stop," I whispered. He kissed me. It wasn't like I expected. I expected arrogance. I expected a game. But this was soft, tentative, almost sweet. His lips brushed mine, testing, tasting. I melted. My hands found their way to his neck, my fingers threading through his hair. A groan vibrated in his chest. The kiss deepened. It turned hungry, desperate. He rolled over, hovering above me, shielding me from the cold, consuming me with his heat. His tongue swept into my mouth, and I welcomed him. We kissed like we had been fighting this war for years, just to reach the surrender. His hand slid under my shirt, his palm hot against my skin. "Harper!" he gasped, breaking the kiss to look at me. His eyes were wide, dilated. "This is a bad idea." "Terrible," I agreed, breathless. "We work together. We're rivals. We should stop." "Yes." But neither of us moved. He stared at me, and I stared at him. In that dingy motel room, with the blizzard raging outside, the lines we had drawn in the sand were washed away. "Screw it," Cole growled. He kissed me again, hard and possessive, and for the first time in my life I didn't object. Morning birds chirping outside, the sound of a shower running, footsteps on a creaky floor, the zip of a suitcase closing. Waking up next to Cole Sterling was disorienting. The first thing I registered was the weight of his arm draped over my waist. The second was the sunlight streaming through the cheap curtains, illuminating the dust motes dancing in the air. The third was the realization that I was naked, and so was he. Panic, cold and sharp, pierced through the warm haze of sleep. Oh my God, I slept with the enemy. I carefully lifted his arm, trying to slide out from under him without waking him up. Leaving so soon, counselor. His voice was rough with sleep vibrating against my back. I froze. I have to check if the roads are open. I lied, clutching the sheet to my chest as I sat up. Cole rolled onto his back, stretching his arms above his head. The sheet slipped down to his hips, revealing the defined V-line of his abdomen. I forced my eyes to stay on his face. He was smirking. "The roads are still closed," he said lazily. "I checked on my phone 5 minutes ago. We're stuck here until noon." I groaned, burying my face in my hands. "This is a disaster." "I wouldn't call it a disaster." Cole sat up, the sheet pooling around his waist. "I'd call it highly productive stress relief." "It was a mistake," I corrected, finally turning to look at him. "A lapse in judgment induced by hypothermia and cheap wine." "Is that what we're calling it?" Cole raised an eyebrow. "Because from where I was standing, or rather lying, it felt like you enjoyed it just as much as I did." My face burned. He wasn't wrong. It had been explosive. "Cole," I said, trying to summon my courtroom voice, "we are rivals. We are competing for the same partnership. If anyone finds out about this—" "They won't," he cut in, his expression turning serious. "I'm not going to tell anyone, Harper. Are you?" "No, of course not." "Then what's the problem?" "The problem," I stood up, wrapping the sheet around me like a toga, "is that we can't do it again. It complicates things." Cole stood up too. He didn't bother with a sheet. He walked towards me, completely unashamed of his nudity. He stopped inches from me. "Does it," he murmured, "or does it make things interesting?" He reached out his finger, tracing the line of my collarbone. "Think about it, Harper. We're both stressed. We're both frustrated. We both work 80 hours a week. Who else understands that pressure?" He leaned down, his lips grazing my ear. "We could help each other. No strings, no feelings, just stress relief. Whenever we need it." I looked at him. It was a tempting offer. A dangerous offer. "Friends with benefits?" I asked skeptically. "Rivals with benefits," he corrected. "We keep fighting in court. We keep trying to destroy each other professionally. But behind closed doors—" He kissed my neck, a soft, lingering kiss that made my knees weak. "We call a truce." I closed my eyes. My brain was screaming, "No." My body was screaming, "Yes." "Fine," I whispered. "But the moment one of us catches feelings, it's over." Cole pulled back, smiling that devastating smile. "Deal. But don't worry, Harper. I don't do feelings." Famous last words. Office ambiance. Phones ringing, typing, the ding of an elevator. Returning to the office was surreal. Everyone was running around, stressed about the storm delays. But Cole and I walked in like nothing had happened. He went to his office, I went to mine. But every time we passed each other in the hallway, there was a spark, a secret look, a subtle brush of hands. It was exhilarating. It was illicit. 2 days later. The archives room. I was down in the basement looking for an old case file. It was quiet down here, dimly lit. I heard the door click lock behind me. I spun around. Cole was leaning against the door, loosening his tie. "What are you doing?" I hissed. Someone could come in. I locked it, he said, walking towards me. And everyone is in the staff meeting. You skipped the meeting. I was bored, he grinned, and I needed to relieve some stress. He backed me into a row of filing cabinets. Cole, we can't, I protested weakly, my hands already reaching for his belt. We have 20 minutes, he murmured, lifting me up onto a stack of boxes. Plenty of time. He kissed me hard and fast. There was no gentleness this time. It was pure adrenaline. He lifted my skirt, his hands hot on my thighs. You drove me crazy in court today, he growled against my lips, arguing about that clause. You looked so smug. I was right. I gasped as he entered me. You were annoying. He thrust into me, the friction sending shock waves through my body. Admit it, I panted, wrapping my legs around him. I'm a better lawyer. You're a better distraction, he groaned. We moved together in the dusty silence of the archives, the only sounds our ragged breathing and the creaking of the boxes. It was reckless. It was stupid. And it was the best part of my day. But as he held me afterwards, adjusting my clothes, he kissed my forehead. A tender, lingering kiss that didn't fit our no-feelings agreement. You okay? He asked softly. I'm fine, I said, pushing him away slightly. We should go back. He watched me leave, a thoughtful expression on his face. I walked back to the elevator, my heart pounding. We were playing with fire, and I had a terrible feeling I was going to be the one to get burned. Pacing footsteps on hardwood floors, papers shuffling aggressively, a coffee mug slamming onto a desk. A deep, frustrated sigh. The Vanderbilt vs. TechCorp case was the holy grail. It was a multi-million-dollar lawsuit involving intellectual property theft, corporate espionage, and enough drama to fuel a soap opera for a decade. And it was the final test. Whoever won this case would become the youngest senior partner in the firm's history. I was representing Vanderbilt. Cole was representing TechCorp. We were back in the ring. No more truces, no more secret meetings in the archives. This was war. I spent 3 weeks living in my office. I ate takeout, slept on my couch, and dreamed in legal jargon. Cole was doing the same. We passed each other in the halls like ghost dark circles under our eyes, nodding curtly. But something was wrong. Cole was making mistakes. Not big ones, little ones. A missed filing deadline. A weak objection during deposition. A witness he forgot to prep. It wasn't like him. Cole Sterling was a machine. He didn't make mistakes, unless he wanted to. 2 days before the trial, I was in the break room getting my 5th espresso when I saw it. A file left on the table. It was labeled Tech Corp. Confidential. It was Cole's file. I shouldn't look. It was unethical. It was illegal. But curiosity killed the cat and the lawyer. I opened it. My breath hitched. Inside was a smoking gun. An internal email from the CEO of TechCorp admitting to the theft. It was the piece of evidence that would guarantee my victory. But why was it here? Why was it just? Lying on the table in the break room, Cole never left confidential files unattended. He guarded them with his life, unless he wanted me to find it. I grabbed the file and stormed to his office. I didn't knock. Cole was sitting at his desk, staring out the window at the rainy city skyline. He looked exhausted. I slammed the file down on his desk. Bang! He jumped, spinning around. Harper, what? What is this? I demanded, my voice shaking with rage. He looked at the file. His expression didn't change. It looks like a file. Don't play dumb with me, Cole. This is the smoking gun. If I use this, I win. You lose. Your client goes bankrupt. So use it, he said calmly. Why was it in the break room? I must have forgotten it. You don't forget, I shouted. You have a photographic memory. You left it there on purpose. You're throwing the case. Cole stood up. He walked around the desk, leaning against it, crossing his arms. And if I am? He asked softly. Why? I whispered, tears stinging my eyes. Why would you do that? Being partner is your dream. It's everything to you. It was, he corrected. Until I realized something. What? That you want it more, he said. And frankly, you deserve it more. You work harder. You care more. And I can't be the one to take it from you. I stared at him. My heart was breaking and soaring at the same time. You're letting me win because you pity me. No. He stepped closer, reaching for my hand. I'm letting you win because I love you. The words hung in the air, heavy, terrifying, real. I love you. The one rule we had. No feelings. He broke it, and in doing so he broke me. I pulled my hand away. You can't do this, I said, my voice cold. You can't hand me a victory. I need to earn it. If I win because you let me, it means nothing. I'm nothing. Harper. No. I backed away. You insulted me, Cole. You think I can't beat you on my own. You think I need your charity. It's not charity. It's sacrifice, he yelled, losing his composure. I'm trying to give you what you want. I don't want it like this. I threw the file back at him. Papers scattered everywhere. I want a fair fight, and I want you to respect me enough to try to destroy me. I turned and ran out of his office. I ran to the elevator. I ran out of the building. I stood on the sidewalk in the rain crying. He loved me, and because he loved me, he had ruined everything. The day of the trial, the courtroom was packed. The media, the partners, the clients. I sat at the plaintiff's table. Cole sat at the defense table. He looked terrible. Pale, unshaven, his tie crooked. He wouldn't look at me. The trial began. I presented my case. It was strong. But without the stolen email, it wasn't a slam dunk. It was Cole's turn. He stood up. He walked to the podium. He looked at the jury. Then he looked at the judge. Then finally he looked at me. His eyes were sad, resigned. Your Honor, Cole said, his voice clear. The defense has no opening statement. The courtroom gasped. The judge frowned. Mr. Sterling. In fact, Cole continued, the defense would like to settle. We concede to all charges. Pandemonium erupted. His client, the CEO of Tech Corp, jumped up. What are you doing? You're fired. The partners in the gallery were whispering furiously. This was career suicide. He was throwing the biggest case of the decade. I sat there frozen. He did it. He disregarded my plea for a fair fight. He disregarded his career. He disregarded everything. Just to let me win. The judge banged the gavel. Order, order. Cole turned to me. He mouthed 2 words. For you. Then he picked up his briefcase and walked out of the courtroom, leaving his career in ruins behind him. I won. I was the new senior partner. But as the partners shook my hand and popped champagne, I felt hollow. I had the title. I had the corner office. But I had lost the only person who truly saw me. That night I went to his apartment. I knocked. No answer. I knew where the spare key was, under the mat, cliché as hell. I let myself in. The apartment was dark. Boxes were everywhere. Cole was sitting on the floor packing books. He was in jeans and a t-shirt, a bottle of whiskey beside him. He looked up when I entered. He didn't look surprised. Come to gloat, partner, he asked, taking a swig of the bottle. You idiot, I said, walking over to him. You complete, utter idiot. I know. He shrugged. I'm not a very good lawyer anymore, but I hear there's an opening for a bartender at the Cozy Inn. I kicked a box aside and knelt in front of him. Why? I asked again. Why did you throw it all away? Because, he put the bottle down. I realized I didn't want to be a partner if it meant fighting you every day. I didn't want to see you sad when I won. I didn't want to be your rival anymore, Harper. I just wanted to be yours. Tears streamed down my face. You ruined my victory, I sobbed. I know. You ruined your career. I know. And you made me fall in love with you, you jerk. Cole froze. What? I love you, I cried, hitting his chest. I love you so much, I hate it. I don't want to be senior partner without you. It's boring, it's lonely. Cole grabbed my hand, stopping my assault. Say it again, he whispered. I love you. He pulled me into a kiss. It tasted of whiskey and tears and relief. He pushed me down onto the rug, covering my body with his. I don't have a job, he murmured between kisses. I don't have a title. I don't have anything to offer you but me. You are all I want, I promised. We'll figure it out. We're lawyers. We're smart. We'll start our own firm, Sterling and Vance. Vance and Sterling, he corrected, kissing my neck. You're the senior partner now. We made love on the floor of his half-packed apartment. It wasn't illicit. It wasn't a secret. It was a promise. A contract signed not with ink, but with hearts. The rivalry was over. The partnership had just begun. 1 year later. The plaque on the frosted glass door read Vance and Sterling, attorneys at law. It was small. It was in a less prestigious building than our old firm, but it was ours. Every chair, every file, every coffee stain on the carpet belonged to us. I walked through the office, nodding at our paralegal, Jenny. Morning, boss, she chirped. Mr. Sterling is already in with the client, and he stole your favorite mug. I sighed. Of course he did. I pushed open the door to Cole's office. He was sitting behind his desk, looking devastatingly handsome, in a charcoal suit, my pink World's Best Lawyer mug in his hand. He was laughing with our client, Mrs. Gable, an elderly woman suing her landlord. When he saw me, his eyes lit up. That same electric spark from the elevator a year ago, but now it was warmer, deeper. Here she is, Cole said, standing up. The brains of the operation. Harper, Mrs. Gable was just telling me about her cats. 7 of them, Mrs. Gable added proudly. Charming. I smiled, walking over to Cole. I plucked my mug from his hand. Thief. Borrower, he corrected, kissing my cheek. Ready for court. Always. We walked to the courthouse together, hand in hand. It was the same courthouse where we used to battle. The same marble floors. The same smell of old wood and anxiety. But this time, we weren't on opposite sides of the aisle. We walked in united. The dynamic duo. The opposing counsel, a young, arrogant lawyer from our old firm, looked nervous when he saw us. He should be. Together, we were unstoppable. The trial was a blur of objections, cross-examinations, and brilliant legal maneuvering. Cole charmed the jury. I destroyed the witnesses with logic. It was a dance we had perfected. When the verdict came in guilty, Mrs. Gable hugged us both, crying tears of joy. As the courtroom cleared out, Cole grabbed my hand. Wait, he said. What? We have a celebration dinner to get to. Not yet. He pulled me back to the center of the empty courtroom. He walked up to the judge's bench, then turned to face me. Harper Vance, he began, his voice echoing in the silence. I have a new motion to file. I crossed my arms, amused. Oh, really? And what is the nature of this motion? It's a motion for a life sentence, he said, his eyes serious. My heart skipped a beat. On what grounds? On the grounds of irrevocable love, mutual obsession, and the fact that I can't function without you yelling at me every day. He reached into his pocket. He didn't pull out a ring box. He pulled out a piece of paper. He unfolded it, It was a contract. I, Cole Sterling. He read, "Hereby pledge my heart, my soul, and 50% of my wardrobe space to Harper Vance. I promise to always let you win the arguments, even when you're wrong, to make you coffee every morning, and to love you until the statute of limitations runs out on the universe." He looked at me. "Will you sign, counselor?" Tears blurred my vision. It was the most ridiculous, perfect proposal I could have imagined. "I have an objection," I whispered, walking towards him. "Overruled," he grinned. He got down on one knee then. From his other pocket, he produced a ring, a stunning vintage sapphire. "Marry me, Harper. Be my partner in everything. Forever." "Yes," I choked out. I sustained the motion. "Yes." He slid the ring onto my finger. It fit perfectly. He stood up and kissed me. It wasn't a lawyer's kiss. It wasn't professional. It was raw, passionate, and full of promise. "I love you," he murmured against my lips. "I love you too, you idiot." We left the courthouse not as lawyers, but as fiancés. But we didn't go to dinner. We went back to the office. To our office. Cole locked the front door and flipped the sign to closed. He swept me up into his arms, carrying me to his desk, the one he had bought specifically because it was sturdy. "We should celebrate," he growled, nuzzling my neck. "We have paperwork." I tried to protest, but my body was already melting. "Paperwork can wait," he said, laying me down on the desk, scattering legal pads and pens. "The senior partners need a meeting, a very long, very private meeting." He kissed me, and the world fell away. There were no more cases to win, no more juries to convince. We had already won the only verdict that mattered. Life sentence, no parole, and I wouldn't trade it for anything.